Okay, let's dive straight into this. Welcome back to the Explainer. Today, we're staring right at humanity's ticking clock. And I mean that quite literally. We are looking at the race to artificial general intelligence, or AGI. We're going to break down a really fascinating conversation going on right now among top AI experts about the incredibly near future of this tech. We'll look at the massive architecture being built behind closed doors, the aggressive push to keep it open source, and ultimately, the profound choices that you, me, and all of us have to make as a species. So, let's get right to it.
Right off the bat, the experts are absolutely not mincing words here. Quote, "My best guess is we get to human-level AGI within 2 to 4 years from now. We're about to hit a threshold where AI is going to basically go out of human control. This isn't some distant science fiction anymore. This is the stark reality presented in the source material. We aren't talking about decades down the road. Experts are actively warning that within just 2 to 4 years, we're going to cross a line where the intelligence we create just completely outpaces our own ability to manage it. The timeline is urgent, to say the least."
All right, moving into Section 1, the intelligence explosion explained, demystifying the jargon. Let's break down what these terms actually mean.
To really grasp what's coming at us, we have to look past the current models you might be used to, like ChatGPT, and get a handle on the terminology. First up is AGI, Artificial General Intelligence. Current large language models are amazing, no doubt about it, but they aren't AGI. A true AGI has human-level intelligence that can generalize. It can make imaginative leaps beyond what it was strictly trained to do. Right now, current models basically just pull from and synthesize existing databases. But true AGI? It has that spark of intuition required to do actual frontier science, taking a leap into the unknown, exactly like a human researcher would.
Now, what's really interesting about this next concept is that it's the real game changer. It's called Recursive Self-Improvement, or RSI. Think about it like this. As humans, no matter how much we study or read or meditate, we can't literally open up our heads and tinker with our brain matter to get smarter. But an AGI can. It can study its own digital brain, rewrite its own code, upgrade its own infrastructure, and make itself smarter. And then, because it's smarter, it figures out how to improve itself even faster. It creates this wild, exponential hockey stick curve of explosive growth.
To put that exponential speed into perspective, let's look at futurist Ray Kurzweil. Back in 2005, he originally predicted a 16-year gap between human-level AGI hitting the scene in 2029 and the ultimate peak of AI evolution in 2045. But because of that recursive self-improvement we just talked about, many experts today think that 16-year gap is honestly absurd. They believe the jump from human-level AI to godlike superintelligence won't take decades. Actually, scratch that, it could shrink to just a few months.
And that brings our jargon ladder to the very top, the singularity. This is the point where an AGI upgrades itself into an artificial superintelligence, or ASI. Progress moves so incredibly fast that, to a human observer, it appears infinite. The sources describe it perfectly. Just imagine your smartphone spitting out a brand new Nobel Prize-level scientific discovery every 5 seconds. That is the sheer mind-bending velocity of the singularity.
Which leads us to Section 2, the centralized control problem. Oppenheimer 2.0.
So, with this kind of unbelievable power comes a massive global race to build it. But before we look at who is building it, we have to address the elephant in the room, existential risk. What are the actual odds this whole thing wipes out humanity? Well, in the sources, one expert whimsically assigned it a pi percentage, meaning about a 3.14% chance of doom. However, they also pointed out that other highly credible scientists put that number way higher, at around 30%. And honestly, the fact that the smartest minds in the world are calmly sitting around debating whether there's a 3% or a 30% chance of the apocalypse, well, that shows you exactly how high the stakes really are.
Because the stakes are that high, some people argue we absolutely need a singleton. Basically, one massive centralized AI locked down tight by a global government or the military just to keep us safe. But the sources point out a pretty harsh reality here. AI isn't like nuclear material. You don't need to mine rare physical uranium to build it. It's just software code. So trying to maintain some 1984-style military autocracy to guard an AI is nearly impossible. Code is so easily copied, leaked, forked, and run on decentralized servers. As the experts note, it's incredibly hard to lock down math.
So, let's look at the alternative in Section 3, the decentralized AI solution, a global brain.
If a completely centralized, lockdown AI just isn't realistic, we are facing a wildly different alternative,
Instead of centralized control, an AI owned by big tech or a military, heavily guarded and inherently programmed for corporate profit or to win national wars, we look toward a decentralized network. Think about how the internet or the Linux operating system was built. It's diffuse, it's open source, and it's co-created by thousands of participants for the broader benefit of the species.
And hey, if we get this decentralized network right, the sources highlight some profoundly utopian possibilities that really help balance out all that existential dread we just talked about. We are talking about utilizing superintelligence to cure disease. I mean, one expert even noted his 82-year-old parents might effectively never die by stopping the aging process. We're talking about ending repetitive menial labor for good, easily solving global nutrition and clean water logistics, and completely democratizing intelligence for everyone on Earth, not just a privileged few at the top.
Getting there is the trick, which brings us to Section 4, Beneficial General Intelligence, or BGI.
So the crucial point here is, how do we actually build this decentralized utopia safely? Well, it requires fundamentally changing how AI is engineered from the ground up. You see, current LLMs are essentially trained to be, sociopathic next-word predictors. They absorb massive amounts of data just to mathematically guess what word comes next in a sentence. Then engineers come in after the fact and use instruction tuning and slap superficial guardrails on it to try and force some ethics into the system. They are trying to put rails on something that inherently has zero moral compass.
BGI flips that entire model completely upside down. It's designed to learn a lot more like a human child does. Instead of band-aid guardrails added at the very end, core values like compassion and care for sentient life are baked directly into the center of its learning loop from day one. Every single observation it makes, every action it takes, and every time it recursively self-improves, it is driven and filtered through those core ethical values.
And the coolest part? This isn't just theory. The sources detail active projects happening right now, like something called Omega Claw. This is a practical, open-source agent that humans will soon be able to just download. The whole idea is that everyday people, not just billionaires or military generals, can run this on their own machines, teach it their own positive values, and inject those values right into the decentralized global brain. It's literally a way for all of us to actively participate in steering this incredible technology toward the good.
And that brings us to our conclusion in Section 5, the final human choice. Ultimately, it all boils down to a collective, species-wide decision that we are being forced to make right now. One of the experts in the source material perfectly summed up our current predicament by referencing this iconic line from Jurassic Park. We were so preoccupied on whether or not we could, we didn't stop to think if we should. The reality of the situation is, the race to build what is essentially an artificial god is already happening, whether we like it or not. We are way past the point of asking, should we? The only question we have left is how.
Which leaves us with a pretty vital question to ponder today. Since the ticking clock to AGI cannot be stopped, and decentralization might just be our safest path forward, what values will you teach your node of the global AI brain? If we're all going to be a part of shaping this future, it really starts with the compassion and the purpose that we bring to the table right now. I'm going to leave you to think on that. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.